Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So, let's be honest everyone, we knew this was probably inevitable. We have our second chance bracket for March Madness. Now, everyone made a first chance bracket, hopefully, or a lot of you March Madness watchers, including myself. It's on video, and let's just say it how it is. It's mostly busted. Most of our brackets are busted, so thankfully ESPN has the second chance bracket. Now, my bracket that I made for the channel was actually, it's not too busted because 3 of my 4 Final Four teams are still intact, and my champion, Alabama, and my runner-up, Texas, are still in it. So there's still actually potential for that bracket, but regardless, we're still going to make a second chance bracket because we were wrong in a lot of places, and it's fun. But this one will probably get busted pretty soon as well. But it's still fun to make a second chance bracket. So make sure to comment your guys' opinions. So let's get on with it. Our second chance bracket for 2023's March Madness. We're going to start with Alabama and San Diego State. San Diego State, I thought they would lose to Charleston because their offense struggles. Their defense is great, obviously. That defense has gotten them to the Sweet 16, but they are finally in a position where not only do they have to be great defensively, but they actually have to be very good offensively to keep up with Bama. I don't see it. This is where I just feel like Bama, even with SDSU's really good defense, I just don't see them scoring less than 70, and I don't see San Diego State scoring more than 70. So this is where their lack of offense, San Diego State's, this is going to come back to bite them right here, in my opinion. I would be very surprised if San Diego State is able to take down the behemoth that is Alabama. Then we have Creighton versus Princeton. I think Princeton is this year's biggest Cinderella team. I mean, obviously, Fairleigh Dickinson was a great story, but Princeton has advanced twice. They've made it to the second weekend. I had Creighton actually in the Elite Eight facing Alabama, so I was right about them so far. They did beat Baylor. They were actually favored in that game. A lot of people thought they'd beat Baylor, and here they are in the Sweet 16 facing the unexpected 15 seed. I think Princeton is the biggest underdog of any matchup this round. Rightfully so, because they're 15 seed. You know, St. Peter's did the impossible. They got to the Elite Eight, which I think opens up a little bit of an extra possibility for Princeton to get to the Elite Eight. They could, but I don't think I'm bold enough to pick them. I'm going to still go with Creighton to win this game. Princeton pride, there's, specialty is defense, and I don't think their offense can keep up with Creighton. I think it's the same thing with San Diego State not being able to beat Alabama. I honestly just don't think their offense is good enough. Then we have the East region over here, Tennessee and FAU. FAU beat Fairleigh Dickinson, and with the ending to that game, with maybe the lack of sportsmanship, a lot of people want FAU to lose, I feel like, to Tennessee here. And this might be controversial. I actually am going to go with FAU to win this game because Tennessee, in years past, they've gotten to the Sweet 16, but usually this is where they lose because their lack of offense eventually comes back to bite them a little bit. This is where their injuries and sometimes their offensive droughts can be a concern. And FAU, I know they didn't exactly put on an offensive clinic the last couple games, but still, when a 9 seed wins twice, gets to the second weekend, they have that momentum with them, then they kind of just keep on going. So I think at least one bracket is very chaotic and has a couple unexpected teams in the Elite Eight. I think the East region is that bracket, with Purdue losing in the first round to Fairleigh Dickinson and Michigan State beating Marquette. Speaking of Michigan State, we have them facing Kansas State, 3 versus 7 matchup. I said in my video, I had Marquette in my Elite Eight. I had them beating Michigan State, but I said that I was worried about a potential matchup with Michigan State because they're always sneaky. Tom Izzo is so trustworthy this time of year. He always finds a way to get it done. That's exactly what he did. And you know what? I think Michigan State keeps on rolling. I think they beat Kansas State, who's looked pretty good. They beat Kentucky and Montana State, but they haven't exactly played a team, I think, as good as Michigan State. I think Michigan State's better than Kentucky because I love Michigan State's guard play, and I love their ability to score from the outside and inside and beat you in many ways. They're a very balanced team, and obviously I love Tom Izzo as a coach. So I think Michigan State beats Kansas State, and I think it's a little surprising. Michigan State was actually favored in this game. They are favored. So I'm going to go with Michigan State in that bracket. That region, I think, is the more chaotic region. So I'm going to go with Michigan State. We move up to the Midwest region, Houston and Miami. Houston had a little scare against North Kentucky. You know, Marcus Sasser did get hurt in that game. He came back. And Houston came back against Auburn. They were down by 10 points at halftime. They found a way to win that game. But Miami has been very impressive to me, beating Indiana, scoring 85 points against Indiana. Norchad Omir's been perfectly healthy. Miami, I didn't think they'd lose to Drake. A lot of people thought they would. That was a close game. Drake almost won, but Miami found a way to win that. Here they are, and you know what? Houston's offense concerns me a little bit. I have not been too impressed with their offense. Their defense is always impressive. But you know what? I think Miami's on a roll. I think their offensive firepower right now is a little bit too much for Houston to handle, in my opinion. I like Miami's offense better. I'm going with the U to pull off the 5-1 upset. Then we have Xavier in Texas. Xavier almost lost to Kennesaw State in the first round. They were down 13 in the second half. They found a way to come back, and then they beat Pittsburgh pretty easily. Texas, they have managed to get here with a little bit of both defense and offense. So this is a really good Sweet 16 matchup. I believe it's the only it's one of two 2-3 matchups. I think this is where Xavier's lack of defense comes back to bite them a little bit. And honestly, I don't think their offense has been as impressive as it's been in the regular season. I like Texas to win this game. It'll be a close one. This might be, I think this and UCLA and Gonzaga are the two best games of this round. This will be a really good game, close. But I'd rather have a more balanced team like Texas that I can trust more defensively. And also, Texas's offense, it's not that much worse than Xavier's. It's a very good offense. So I think it's good enough to beat Xavier, I think, especially with Xavier not being exactly dominant offensively in the first two rounds. So I will go with Texas. Our final region, we have Arkansas and UConn. Eric Musselman, I believed in him. I picked Arkansas to beat Kansas. They were down double digits in the second half, and they came back and won. That was a great effort by the team. Great coaching by Musselman. But can they beat the Goliath that is UConn? One of the biggest Goliaths I've seen for a 4 seed in recent years. UConn looks really good right now. Pretty easily beat St. Mary's. But you know what? I trust Musselman. I'm going with Arkansas to win this game. Something special about this team. I mean, they beat Kansas. I think they have a ton of momentum right now. And I think they're going to beat UConn because, I don't know, I feel like I like Arkansas's guard play a little bit. I like their perimeter play a little bit more. I know UConn has shooters, but UConn runs their offense through Sonogo. So if Arkansas can take him out of the game, I like Arkansas on the perimeter a little bit better than UConn. And then, honestly, let's be honest. This is, if you had to pick one game to watch this round, Gonzaga versus UCLA. We've had some amazing matchups between these two teams in March Madness in years past. So who takes this matchup? It's so close. I have UCLA in my Final Four in the bracket that I made for the video. I had them in the Final Four alongside Texas and Alabama. But you know what, guys? I've actually changed my mind. I'm going to go with Gonzaga to win this game because, I don't know, I just love Drew Timme. This team, I feel like this is a year where, you know, a lot of years when they've had high expectations to win it all, they've fallen short. So I'm going with a little reverse psychology here. I think because Gonzaga is a little more underrated this year, I don't know. I think they win this game. I think Drew Timme finds a way. This is where UCLA is really going to be tested defensively without Jalen Clark. So if Gonzaga's guards can shoot the ball well, I think they win. It'll be a great game. Either team can definitely win. It's kind of a toss-up, but I'm going to be a little bold, and I'm going to go with Gonzaga. So then we have the Elite Eight, Alabama, Creighton. Who gets to the Final Four? I will go with Alabama. Creighton sometimes can be a little inconsistent, and I don't know if they would have to play a near perfect game to beat Alabama, and they've already played a couple near perfect games, or at least it was kind of a perfect game against Baylor. I think this is where Alabama flexes their muscles and gets to the Final Four. I just don't think Creighton, I think Alabama's better defensively, and honestly, offensively, they're a little better than Creighton as well. So Creighton's got to do a little bit of everything to beat Alabama. So I'll take Alabama to get to the Final Four. Then FAU and Michigan State, the region of the most parity and chaos. Who gets to the Final Four in Houston to face Alabama? I believe in Izzo. I've seen enough to be convinced this year and in years past. 7 seeds, a lot of times that's the seed of a Cinderella team to get to the Final Four. We've seen it many times. We've seen Michigan State as a 7 seed get to the Final Four in 2015. I think they can do it again, so that's who I'm going to go with out of the East region. Miami and Texas. I like Miami a lot. I love Jim Larinaga. I love Isaiah Wong. They could get to the Final Four if they beat Houston, obviously, but I'm just going to stick a little bit with my original bracket. I'm going to go with Texas to get to the Final Four. This is where Miami's defense can be a little bit of a problem because the metrics will tell you that Miami's defense isn't the best. I like the balance of Texas. I think that they find a way to win this game. That'll be a good one, though. I would love to see a Texas-Miami matchup. So Texas gets to the Final Four. Then Arkansas and Gonzaga. They faced off last year. Arkansas upset Gonzaga, who was a 1 seed. Arkansas was a 4 seed. They got to the Elite Eight last year after beating Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. But I think since we already have a lower seed, we already have a Cinderella in the Final Four, I'm not going to pick a second one to get there. I will go with Gonzaga to beat Arkansas, get the revenge from last year, and get to the Final Four. So, guys, my Final Four in my second chance bracket, Alabama versus Michigan State, Texas versus Gonzaga. So, who meets in the championship? First, let's start with Alabama and Michigan State. This is a lot of times where the Cinderella team falls short, and it was a great run for Izzo. If Michigan State gets here, I think even though I have Alabama winning my bracket, I would definitely not be upset if Michigan State goes all the way and wins this thing for Izzo, but I think realistically Alabama wins this game, and they're just too good. I mean, they can win they've shown they can win even when Brandon Miller doesn't play that well, as he hasn't done so far, so he's kind of due to start playing well, and I think they get to the championship. So my original bracket, like I said, was Alabama versus Texas. So am I going to go with the same championship as my original bracket, Texas Gonzaga? No. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go with Gonzaga to get to the finals because I feel like if Gonzaga can beat UCLA and get to the Final Four, I think they're just going to continue to ride that momentum. And also, why not kind of have a couple different avenues for a second chance bracket and my original bracket? I don't want to follow the exact same thing. I want to switch it up. So Alabama and Gonzaga is my championship in this second half bracket. Who wins the whole thing? Man, here's the thing. If Gonzaga gets to the finals, they've already been the runner-up twice. They've never won the whole thing. I think if they get to the finals, just like the Final Four, I think they're just going to keep going and ride that momentum. I'm going to go with Gonzaga to win my second chance bracket. I just have a feeling if they end up even getting to the Final Four, I think there's a good chance they win the whole thing. If they beat UCLA, they beat either Arkansas or UConn, and just find a way to win the region, I think they'll just continue to ride that momentum. I love Drew Timme. He's a senior. I think he gets it done, and he's playing better than ever. And the guards have to play well. They have to shoot well. They've shot pretty well so far, but I just think Gonzaga is one of those teams that's due. We've seen in years past, we saw Kansas last year. They were probably due for a title. They won it. And then we saw Baylor. They hadn't won a title in forever. They won it, and then Virginia was due after getting upset to UMBC in 2018. They came back in 2019 and won. So I just think Gonzaga is the most due of these Final Four teams, maybe of all the teams left in this tournament. So I'm going to go with that. I'm banking on Gonzaga being due for positive regression toward a championship. So Gonzaga wins my second chance bracket. How many total points will be scored in the national championship game? Two great offenses if these two teams meet. So I will go, let's say 80 to 77. So let's go with 157 points. Why not? All right, guys, that's my second chance bracket. Gonzaga wins. Make sure to comment your opinions. It was definitely a bold bracket, not too much chalk, but that's what's fun about it. I'm not a person who likes to go with chalk anyway. So guys, make sure to comment your opinions. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Why not? It's free. You won't regret it. Probably not. But yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, as always, and I'll see you all in the next one.